Jai Janine, we are talking about Samyaktva Maargana today. Samyaktva literally means clarity. What does clarity mean? Clarity means clear vision. The clear vision is hindered because of the clouds of false perception. When we remove these glasses of false perception or false vision, the clarity comes into vision and our perception changes from false to the truth and we see reality in its true sense. This kind of state of clarity is known as awakening. Now, Samyaktva Maargana are of 6 types. These are the different states of a living being with or without clarity. The first kind of Samyaktva Maargana is Mithyatva, which is a state of false perception, which is a state of completely devoid of any kind of clarity. This kind of person stays only at the first step of purity. Now, when this person makes a choice to bring that inner realization and takes a jump from the first to the fourth step of clarity, the clarity definitely comes into vision. But it may happen that suddenly the false perception begins to rise back again and his clarity may get clouded with the false perception. So he has only a partial state of clarity and he has a partial state of false perception. This is the rolling down state of a living being from the fourth to the third step. And this step is known as Samyaktva Mithyatva, which means a combination of clarity and the false perception. Now this being rolls down again to the second step. From the fourth it rolls down to the third, from the third it rolls down to the second, and in the second state of purity what happens is this person has completely lost his clarity, the false vision continues, and now there is also beginning of the passions inside him. So in this state there is passions and then there is no state of clarity at all and there is false vision. This kind of state of a living being is known as sasadan, and from here the person rolls down to the first step and then again begins his journey to climb back to the fourth step or take a jump again to the fourth step with conscious realizations. So we learned right now 3 types of Samyaktva Maargana. First is Mithyatva Maargana, the first step of purity. The second one is Samyak Mithyatva, which is a mix of clarity and mix of false perception, which stays only at the third step of purity. And the third one we learned is Sasadan, which is the clarity is completely gone but there is a rising of passions in him, and passions and false vision stays together at the second step, and this is known as the Sasadan state. Now let's see what's the fourth kind of clarity. Now when the person takes a final jump from the first to the fourth step of clarity, what happens is on the fourth step of clarity he has again what I said, 2 choices. So the first choice that he naturally enters into is the state of suppression. So he suppresses his passions to a pretty good extent so that he can extremely feel and realize his state of clarity. And when he experiences it, he is in a sense of overwhelmingness and he enjoys that state. He has never felt that before ever, and he wants to maintain that state but with the suppressed passions, because he still doesn't know how to get rid of the passions. With the suppressed passions, this person can go from an inner state of the fourth state to up to the seventh state of purity. But since it is a suppressed emotion, the person has to fall down back again. So he falls down from the 7th, he comes to 6th, he may come to 5th, he may come to 4th. But at the 4th step when he's falling down, at that moment he says, wait on, let me get back my clarity on. I can't just drop from that experience which I just had, and he tries to maintain his clarity. So at this time a new kind of clarity begins in him, which is known as Shayupshamik Samyaktva, which means a variable kind of clarity. It has variations. That means that partially you will know a lot of things, there will be knowingness, and partially you won't have knowingness about certain things. So it's a partial kind of clarity. So these were some of the practice sessions, but still the game doesn't end here. He comes back, this living being comes back to the first step of purity, takes another jump to the fourth step, or may fall down up to the fourth step of purity. From the fourth step, his journey begins again on the direction of the clarity. And this time, again, with the suppression of the passions, this being is actually able to suppress it to a very greater extent and actually go up to the highest, which is the 11th step of purity, with the suppressed state a living being can ever reach to. Again, the emotions are suppressed, the passions are suppressed, he has to fall down. He falls down from the 11th, he falls down, he can even fall down when he's at the 10th, at the 9th, at the 8th, at the 7th, at the 6th, at the 5th, at the 4th. He can fall down from any of these steps, and he can go as low as the 4th step, or he can go even as low as at the 1st step. So the Upsham kind of clarity that we talked about, which was the 4th kind, has thus 2 types. The first time when the Upsham clarity happens, which is beginning with the suppression of the passions, it goes from the 4th to the 7th steps. And the second time, when he again suppresses the emotions and passions and rides back again onto the ladder, that time he can go as high as up to the 11th step. So from 4th to the 11th step is the second type of Upsham clarity, which is the suppressed clarity. Now comes the final move. All the practice sessions are over. Enough kind of efforts have been put into realization of the soul, and now this being really wants to experience it with a permanent state of clarity. So he begins his journey again from the 4th step. From the 4th step, this time he rides on, after all these practice sessions, directly on the permanent clarity state. This is the kind of clarity which he achieves at the 4th step after a few practice sessions, and he has a complete innate realization and faith in the reality, and this kind of clarity doesn't fall back ever again. It stays with the living being no matter which birth he goes in, no matter where he travels. The clarity state will always stay with him, and with this clarity state he definitely rides on, and he takes his move from the 4th, and then it never ends. It goes beyond, and you become a siddha. So the permanent kind of clarity then goes from the 4th to the 14th state and the becoming of the siddha. That's how the 6 kinds of clarity, or the 6 kinds of Samyaktva, are placed with the living beings, with the Samyaktva, are placed on the different steps of purity, and it's a very beautiful process. Please read this video, listen to this video, and read the notes at least a few times, and absorb the information and have that innate desire to gain this clarity state. It is beautiful, I'm pretty sure. Let's do it together. Enjoy, and we will see our next Maargana in the next session. Bye.